I'm trying to replace big tech with a $50 server. No Google Drive, no subscriptions, and no cloud. Just one computer in my basement running everything for myself. But making this turned out to be a lot harder than I expected.
And in this video, I'll show you the full process I went through, from planning and setup to actually getting this thing working. And here's how it all started.
Lately, I've been thinking about how the world of technology is amazing, but the companies that run it aren't. Think of Microsoft, Netflix, Spotify, Google. They used to be awesome.
But once they got everyone hooked in with their fancy tech and cool services, things started to go downhill.
Raising subscription prices, putting ads everywhere, and lately, adding AI features that nobody wants. And yet, no matter how bad they make the experience, everyone keeps using it.
And why is that? Because we love what they offer. Movies, music, TV shows, games. We love entertainment.
And why stream those things from the cloud when you could just stream them from a computer you own instead? Well, not this computer, but you get the idea. Imagine having a simple computer connected to a hard drive in your basement. Whenever you want to watch or play something, you can just pull out your phone or laptop and stream it from that computer. That's the idea behind a server.
But since it's at your house, we call it a home lab, and that's what I plan to make. But before I could do that, I needed to decide exactly what I wanted my server to be made of.
Basically, there was two things I needed: a place to store files, and a computer to manage those files. Starting with the computer, I need to figure out an operating system. There's tons of open source OSs for use with home labs.
And, of course, they're all Linux based. I tell ya, 2026 really is the year Linux is becoming mainstream.
I considered a few of them, and I settled on Open Media Vault. It's based on Debian Linux, which means it's free, simple to use, and hard to completely destroy. Now to find a computer to run it. I bought this used office computer last year for $10. It's got an Intel i5 CPU and 12GB of RAM, which is more than good enough. I added a 500GB internal hard drive, which I bought used on Amazon for around $20. It also came with an optical drive. Optical media is great, but streaming is objectively better. So I'm planning to rip some discs at some point, and this drive should be perfect for that.
After all this, I finally had my computer figured out. But next, I had to decide on storage.
Obviously, SSDs are the best option for high speeds, but they're also pretty freaking expensive. So a hard drive will have to do. I already mentioned that the computer has an internal drive, but that's just for the operating system and apps. I used a different one for the main storage. 2 terabytes of storage! This hard drive has been connected to my Wii for the last year, and connected to an iMac for several years before that. So it's a bit old, but it'll do fine for a first drive. And it's free, because I already own it. It has a lot of connectors, but my computer doesn't have Thunderbolt or eSATA, so USB mini time, which means I will be experiencing USB 2 transfer speeds. This is a budget build after all.
At this point, all my planning was complete, and I was feeling pretty good about the project as a whole. It seemed so simple. What could possibly go wrong? Oh no. Well, I guess future me will deal with all that when I come to it.
I also realized that having internet for a server is kind of important, so I found this $10 USB antenna for Wi-Fi, because I don't have a good Ethernet setup. Antenna goes into the computer, hard drive goes into the computer, no cable management whatsoever takes place, and with that, the assembly is complete. One computer, one hard drive, one antenna. That felt good for an entry-level setup.
Because anyway, on a server, hardware isn't the main thing. Software is the real star of the show. And speaking of software, it was time to install some.
I downloaded Open Media Vault from SourceForge, and then used Balena Etcher to put it on a flash drive. I simply had to boot the installer flash drive, start the install, then pick my language, English of course. After that, it was a pretty standard Linux install, and in a matter of minutes, I was in the Debian terminal. Because remember, Open Media Vault is really just Debian.
And now it was time to set up the Wi-Fi antenna. These crappy little antennas run on their own dedicated chipset. Apparently, this one uses a Realtek chip.
Which means I have to download a driver from GitHub.
And you may be thinking, well, that's no big deal. GitHub's easy to use, just download the file and put it on, right?
Wrong. Guess what you need to download? Wi-Fi. Guess what you need for Wi-Fi? Drivers. Guess what you need for drivers? A download. It's a vicious cycle. So I decided to try and configure it using just built-in tools. It's time for a messing around in the terminal montage.
After spending half an hour messing around, I decided that Linux just hates external Wi-Fi devices. I don't really feel like downloading the file on one computer and moving it over, and even if I do that, the antenna is still going to be really slow, which can only mean one thing. I need Ethernet, which I'll probably be glad I switched to in the long run. It's way faster. But there's one big problem.
Do you see any free Ethernet ports on here? Yeah, neither do I, which means something in my house is losing Ethernet today. After a little bit of deliberation, I decided it was going to be this TV right here, because I mainly use it with my Switch anyway, and it doesn't need its own internet. I should have to find the cable, which is easier said than done, and yank it out. There we go. No more Ethernet for you, TV. And my server gets some Ethernet. Yay!
And it's ready now, right? Right? Wrong. I realized that I forgot to clean up the hard drive. This drive has been plugged into my Wii to load games for the last year or so. But I have a Wii U now, and Wii U's have internal storage, so there's no need for a hard drive anymore. Which means we have to say goodbye to every game on the hard drive.
RIP to Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, Pokemon XD, New Super Mario Bros. Wii, Skyward Sword, Mario Galaxy 2, and Super Paper Mario. All S-tier games, but it's formatting time. I formatted it to exFAT to clean it up, but the server will make it a Linux format anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I reconnected it, and then it was finally time to see if all this setup worked and if I actually had a server or not.
Alright, it's time for the cool part. I'm sitting upstairs now, completely across my house from the server. OpenMediaVault has a local host IP address I can visit, which is kind of like a website, but only for people on the same Wi-Fi network. So I can type that in on my computer, and it's loading. It's loading. Look at that! We're connected to the server. Hang on. They have AI images on the sign-in screen. Well, we have to nuke the whole thing now. No one likes AI images.
Oh, that's much better. Anyway, here's the dashboard. I can see the CPU usage, the status of the drives and their temperature, as well as a ton of other stuff. It also lists all the connected drives, of which there's two, the internal drive and the external drive. I selected the external one and reformatted it for Linux.
This was actually the most painful part of the entire installation process, because it decided to take that hard drive and divide it into like 20,000 blocks, and then format every one of them one at a time, which took like 45 minutes. But it's finally done now.
Once it was finally done, I set the permissions so I could mount the drive remotely to my laptop, almost like I was plugging in a flash drive. And now look at that, it just shows up in the Finder sidebar. Theoretically, I can move files on and off now. To test it, I uploaded the final cut of one of my older YouTube videos, The History of the Super Can, which was a super obscure old game console that did not sell well. It was a pretty fun video to make. The video was around 360 megabytes, and did not take nearly as long to transfer as I expected. Ethernet is quick, and the USB isn't that big of a bottleneck, and it all transferred perfectly.
I spent some time organizing folders and tweaking the layout of the drive. But later that night, I realized something concerning.
This widget shows the temperature of the drives. The internal one is at 27 degrees Celsius, which is normal for a hard drive. But the external one is at 55 degrees, which is quite toasty. So I headed downstairs to check it out. Alright guys, it's like 10 PM right now. And yeah, this thing is radiating more heat than a PS3. If I don't cool it down quick, it could quite literally burn itself out. Only thing I could think of was this USB fan that I used to extract fumes from my 3D printer. It should do the job just fine. Plug it into the power strip here. It is quite loud, but it should move air through the entire chassis of the drive. And it's safe to say that that worked perfectly. We've gone down 33 entire degrees to a much nicer 22 Celsius. And now I finally have a server that won't burn down if I leave it alone.
But the most important part of that sentence is the first. I finally have a server, which means I've built my own place to store files and watch media. It's like having my own personal Google Drive or iCloud. But this isn't the final form of the server. Far from it. I have so many ideas that it would be impossible to fit them all into one video. So, to save both of us time, I'm going to make this into a series. If this video does well, of course.
In the future, I'll install apps to set up my own self-hosted Netflix and Spotify alternatives. I'm also planning to store my entire ROM library and set up a front end for playing tons of retro games. I'll definitely try ripping discs with the optical drive, and hopefully, if I can find good deals, there's going to be hardware upgrades. Maybe I'll add some more hard drives or better computers. The possibilities really are endless, and I'm just getting started.
At the beginning of this video, I made a goal to escape big tech using my own server. And I have that server now, which means I'm well on my way. If everything goes well, episode 2 should come out sometime this summer, and it's going to be about replacing subscriptions like Netflix and Spotify with self-hosted alternatives. So make sure to subscribe to Byte so you don't miss it. Thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. I hope you have a really good day.